So we're going to go through some of our homework for 1.2 day 2. So in the first couple problems, we need to write and solve an equation and then check our answers. So in 35, we're going to work. So it says we work 30 hours per week at a gas station and we earn $8.75. But we can also work as a landscaper and we earn $11 per hour, and we can work as many hours as we want. Whereas the gas station, we're only working 30. And our goal is to make $400 per week. And then there's this question at the end: how many hours must we work as a landscaper? So we learned in class today that the question, or sometimes it's phrased as a command at the end, can determine our variable. So they're asking us how many hours we must work. So our variable must be the number of hours that we work as a landscaper. Notice how I'm just copying the words in the prompt. So, well, how do we make money? So our goal is to make $400. So the money that we have is earned from the gas station and as a landscaper. So the $400 that I want to earn is going to be given to me by working at the gas station, the money I make there, plus the money that I make as a landscaper. So I'm just kind of abbreviating some of these words when I write my original equation in words rather than everything. So we can fill some stuff in. Well, how much money am I going to make at the gas station? Well, it's given to me that I'm going to work 30 hours and I'm going to earn $8.75 each hour. So I'm going to earn $8.75 for all of the hours that I work. Now, as a landscaper, I don't know how many hours I'm going to actually work. That's our variable. But I do know that I make $11 for each of those hours. So it's okay to use a calculator for some of our multiplication here. 875 times 30, that gives us $262.50 plus 11x. So we'd subtract that will give us $137.50 is equal to 11x. So we divide by 11, and that gives us our x value. $12.50 is equal, or excuse me, $12.50 is equal to x, and that's the number of hours, so we need to work 12.5 hours. The area of the surface of the swimming pool is 210 square feet. What is the length, which they told us we have to use d, of the deep end? So recall, we know area of anything, of a rectangle, is the length times the width. So this side here is our length. We can call this side here our width. So the area of the pool is given to us. It said it's 210, so we're going to place that with 210. Now the length of the swimming pool, I don't know what the length is. It's 9 feet long plus whatever that distance of d is. So the length is 9 feet plus that distance of d. I had to use parentheses there because both of those numbers together make the one length. And I'd multiply that by the width, and the width of this is just 10. Now we tend to write it a little bit differently when we actually use multiplication. So 9 plus d, if I just put times 10, it looks backwards. Some of us like to write it in front so we can use the distributive property. So 210, we distribute the 10, so 90 plus 10d. Start to isolate our variable d, so we're going to undo addition and subtraction first, so 210 minus 90. And I don't want 10 times d, so I undo multiplying by 10, I'm going to divide by 10. So we get 12 is equal to d. So if they asked us what is the length of the deep end, so we found d, and d actually directly answers what we want. That distance is the length of the deep end. So this was measured in feet, so it is 12 feet. Let's take a look at number 37. So we order 2 tacos and a salad. Tells us that the salad is $2.50, and we know that we have to pay 8% sales tax, and we leave a $3 tip. And the total amount we owe is $13.80, and we need to figure out how much does one taco cost. So we talked about in class that the question they ask us helps us define our variable. So I'm going to let x equal the cost of one taco. So interpreting the situation, we have a bill that we paid. And the way that we got our bill was we bought 2 tacos, we got a salad, we had to pay tax, and then we left a tip. We can start filling some of these things in. We know our bill was $13.80. We know we got 2 tacos. Now, how much would 2 tacos cost? Well, it would be 2 times the cost of 1. But that's what we don't know, right? The cost of a taco was our variable. So I don't know how much the tacos are going to cost me. I do know that the salad, because it told me right here, was $2.50. So notice how I'm kind of crossing out some of the numbers we've used. We're going to figure out tax in just a second, and then we paid a $3 tip. Now, if you're unsure how to pay tax, it's a percent of what you bought. So you take the percent and you convert it to a decimal, and then you multiply by how much you bought. So for instance, in this situation, when we have to pay tax, I'm just copying, we bought 2 tacos, and then we also bought a salad. So the tax we have to pay, we only pay 8%. So as a decimal, we divide that by 100, we get 0.08. We only have to pay the 8% on what we bought. So we only bought 2 tacos and a salad. We did not buy the tip, so we don't have to pay tax on the tip. Once we're here, though, it's just a simple equation, well, a multi-step equation for us to solve. So we're going to distribute the 0.08, and it's okay if you need a calculator for that. So 0.08 of 2 is 0.16. And 8% of 250 looks to be 20 cents. So we're just going to combine a bunch of like terms. So this is an x, and here's another x. So in total, it looks like we have 2.16 x's. We collect all our constants. We have 250, another 20 cents, and another $3. So in total, that's $5.70. And that's our bill of $13.80. So we'll subtract $5.70 from both sides because we want to start to get that variable alone. $8.10 is going to equal $2.16. So then we'll divide by 2.16 to try to get x alone. And that gives us the answer of $3.75. And if that's x, x is the cost of a taco. So 1 taco costs $3.75. So looking over here at number 41, what our task to do is we just need to find the error. When we're looking at errors, we just want to analyze how one line is different than the other. So for instance, if I look at the first 2, I see this is still there, all of this is still there, but what I clearly see is different are these 2 things. So like what would they have done? Well, it looks to me like the 4 disappeared. So they would have got that to disappear by subtracting 4. And 12 minus 8 is 4. So I'm good here. What I notice moving forward is this 1/4 is gone. So what did they do with the 1/4? Well, it doesn't look like they distributed it because that would have been something different. But I do notice this 8 all of a sudden changed to a 2. So what it looks like they did is it looks like they did 8 divided by 4 to get to 2. But that doesn't seem right. If they got rid of the 1/4, remember a fraction on the bottom is what they divided by. So to undo dividing by 4, they would have had to have multiplied both sides by 4. So multiplying by 4 would have gotten rid of the division of 4. But 8 times 4 would have been 32. So the error here is they should have multiplied by 4 instead of divide by 4. And I mean that specifically right here. So let's move on to the next problem we have, which is number 46. An online ticket agency charges the amount shown for basketball tickets. So they're showing us down here. The total cost for an order is this much money. How many tickets are purchased? So again, we can define our variable because they're asking us a question. They want to know how many tickets are purchased, which means in my equation, x should be the number or how many tickets sold. Or purchased, excuse me. So again, we have a total amount of like a bill or a total. So how did they figure out the total money we owe? Well, according to the table, we'd have to pay for tickets. Then we'd have to pay for the convenience fee. And we'd also have to pay for the processing. After we pay all of those fees, then we get our total. So it clearly says the total was that much money, $220.70. Now, to figure out how much money I owe on tickets, I would have to take the price and multiply it by the number that I buy. Well, I do know the price of a ticket. That's $32.50. But I don't know how much a ticket costs. Or excuse me, I know how much a ticket costs. I don't know how many I bought. Because again, I don't know how many tickets I purchased. So if the price was $32.50, how many did I buy? That I don't know. So I have to call it X. Now I'm going to add the convenience fee. Now the convenience fee is $3.30 for every ticket. But again, I don't know how many tickets I found, or bought, excuse me. That's my variable. So it's $3.30x. Now the processing fee is a one-time fee. It's $5.90 every time we make an order. So we can just say that was $5.90. So we're just going to combine like terms, right? We have some x's that we can combine. If I had 32.5 x's and I added 3.3 more of those x's, that'd be 35.8 of those x's. And then from here, it's a nice simple two-step equation. To get x alone, first we're going to subtract the 590 from both sides. And again, it's okay to be using a calculator. You can hear me typing on mine, so I'm sure. And then to undo multiplying x by 3580, we would divide by 35.80. And when we do that, we get this answer of 6. Now, we have to answer the original question. What does 6 measure? 6 was supposed to be how many tickets we bought. So we can say we bought 6 tickets. Let's go ahead and work on number 47 right away. So we need to make an argument here. So you have quarters and dimes. So we have some quarters, and the dimes that we have in our pocket should equal $2.80. Your friend says it's possible that the number of quarters is 8 more than the number of dimes. Is our friend going to be correct? So how do we go about doing this? What they're telling us is if we knew how many dimes we have, we'd be able to figure out how many quarters we have because there's 8 more quarters. So what if I said that D was equal to the number of dimes? That means D plus 8, right, because there's 8 more quarters, would be the number of quarters. Now, we got to think about how do we make money from quarters? Well, each quarter is worth 25 cents. And then we would add 10 cents for every dime. And that should give us $2.80. So cents is not a number, though. So as a decimal, 25 cents would be $0.25. Now, how many quarters do I have? Well, I don't know. We called that D plus 8, right? We don't know how many quarters we have. We just know it's 8 more than the number of dimes. Now, again, 10 cents is not something we can put into an equation. So what is 10 cents as a number? Well, it's $0.10. And how many dimes do we have? Well, we called that D because we don't know how many dimes. So we distribute here. So we get 0.25D plus 2 plus 0.10D is equal to $2.80. So we can collect our like terms. That's 0.35D. And again, if you're using a calculator, that's okay. Then to get D alone, we want to minus the 2. And then to undo multiplying, we would divide. Now when we do that, we get this decimal, actually. We get something like 2.28 is equal to D. Sorry, I wrote that on the wrong side. Now, okay, that math was great, but what was D? D was supposed to be a number of dimes. We can't have decimal number of dimes. So what does that tell us? Well, it tells me if I do what my friend said, if I assume that there was 8 more quarters than dimes, if I tried to do that, that means there was an awkward number of dimes. There was a decimal value of dimes. So that means my friend can't be true because if there was 8 more quarters than dimes, I wouldn't be able to get $2.80. So my friend is not true or not correct. Moving on to 49, an even integer can be represented by the expression 2n, where n is any integer. So we need to find 3 consecutive integers that have this sum. So again, we were given a command, so we need to find 3 numbers. We need to find the first even, the second even, and the third even. So maybe it's like 2, 4, and 6. Maybe it's 10, 12, and 14, so on and so forth. What we had talked about in class is there's 3 different things that we need to find. We cannot use 3 different variables. We want to try to define one thing first and use that one thing to describe the others. So in this case, if I call my first number 2n, because they tell us any even number can be 2n. So let's say 2n is our first even number. Well, what should we do? Well, if I knew that this was my first even number, what would you do to get to the next one? Well, I would just add 2. If I told you my first even number was 16, what's the next even number? Well, it's 18, because you just added 2. If I started at 22, what's the next even number? It would just be 24, because you just add 2. So if the first even number is 2n, the second even number must be 2n plus 2. Now, if I told you my first number was 22, what's the third number in my list? So the first number is 22. We know that we would add 2 to get to the second number. What would we add to get to the third number? We would take the first number and we would add 4. So we said if we add up all those numbers, the first one plus the second one plus the third one, we should get 54. So we can solve this. How many n's are here? Well, there's 2, there's 4, there's 6 n's. So 6n, and then I see 2 positives and 4 more positives. So that's plus 6 positives. That should equal 54. So to get n alone, we'll first start by subtracting the 6. 54 minus 6 is 48, and then dividing by 6 gives us n is equal to 8. And I was going to check, what are we doing? We're supposed to find the 3 numbers. N was not one of our numbers, but we can use n to help us find it. 2 times n would be 16. That's our first number. If I took 2 times 8, which was 16, and added 2, my next number was 18. So the third number says take 2, multiply it by n, that gives us 16, and add 4, so that's 20. So our 3 consecutive even numbers are 16, 18, and 20. So in our last example here, we need to do number 52 and 54. And they're the same thing here. It says in the exercises, letters A, B, and C are numbers that are not 0. So they want us to solve these equations without numbers. Instead, let's just use letters. So we just need to know how to undo operations. So we need to solve the equation for x. So whenever I start an equation, I need to find it. Well, here's x, right? So what was done to x? The only thing I did to x was add 4. Or excuse me, add a. So how do I undo adding something? The only way I undo adding something, so I'm going to rewrite the equation, x plus a is equal to 3/4. The way I undo addition is by subtraction. Now, I don't know what a is, so I don't know how to subtract it from 3/4. I've just undone the addition to get x alone. Looking at number 54, again, we want to get x alone, so we're going to find x. It's right here. We can see 2 things were being done to it. It was being multiplied by a, and then we added b. So to undo those, I'm going to rewrite the equation. First, we want to undo adding b, because again, we want to get to this a value here. So we're going to subtract b from both sides. So we'd have ax is left because b and negative b would cancel. And on the right side, we'd take whatever c was and we would subtract b. We just don't know what it is. Now, how would I undo multiplying x by a? Because I just want to get x alone. Well, I would divide by a. So those would cancel. So I have x should equal whatever c was minus b divided by a. And that's our final answer.